And we're live.
Yay!
All right.
Well,
what?
for versions of the word live.
Yes. So we're a little bit late and a day early, so it kind of balances out. It balances out. Yeah, so it's a national holiday this Friday, so this was our only chance to do this. So hopefully people can
I'll be
see this on demand.
on a train tomorrow.
Yes.
Yep. Trying to control a 5.5.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. I don't look forward to days off that much because it's just a day I got to watch my kid. Like, I love her to death, but like, can we please just calm down?
Right. So let this be your oasis.
Yeah, it is. It honestly is. Right? Yeah.
Our weekly gaming discussion.
This is the most calm I get to be like all week.
And then I bring up 5e.
Yeah, you do. And it's still the most calm I get to be all week. Yeah.
Oh, and there is some 5e this week. All right.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
So I'll be running tomorrow. Yeah, it's Friday. Yeah, tomorrow I'll be running John Carter. So the 2D20 John Carter. So I put out the earlier version. I think actually Mutant Chronicles was the first 2D20, which is pretty rough. The system's pretty rough. They refined it more and more, and I really like the pulpy abstraction of the John Carter version.
Yeah. I think I played like one session.
Oh yeah, we did that.
After looking at Conan, which was 2D20. I want to get more into that system, but the stats and everything seemed pretty traditional. Mm-hmm. Where I was a little disappointed when you go to John Carter, you had stats like valor, courage, and I'm like, this is pretty cool, right? It's a little, once you get used to it, I'm sure it becomes kind of intuitive about what you should be rolling. But at the beginning, I could see how that would be
it's
a little, you're like, which one am I rolling? But I like that.
Yeah, there's a couple of things in the game, like the units of measure and time. They use the Barsimian one. So you're like, this is a pain in the ass. But once you get in that mindset and like are trying to, really, it helps you immerse in the setting, I think, a bit more. The only thing I'm worried about, and the thing that I'm going to try to do, is get all the points, momentum, and threat and everything kind of out, those spends out of the way of the story as much as possible, and not be like, would you like to change the story with these 2 points? Try to make it a little bit more organic and let the role playing happen, and just the mechanics are,
Do you think that's something that would become more intuitive the more people are familiar with the system? Because like I said, I only played one session, and I haven't run that much Fate, unfortunately. But it kind of seems like how you can hold up a Fate point and go, I'm going to compel that, or, right, like, do you want to, it's not trigger, but do you want to, compel an aspect or all this stuff, right? And it might be when you're learning those systems, it feels very, we just got taken out of the narrative with this mechanical thing. But once you learn and kind of internalize what those things do and how you can use them, do you think it becomes more organic to the narrative?
I hope so, yeah. And because I think logically the points make sense, like what they're trying to do. Like, as you succeed more, you get more and more powerful, you can, get more and more benefit. So, as you're slashing through, you're doing more damage as you're slashing through hordes of, enemies. And so that kind of thing, I think it will become intuitive. I just, want to make sure that, we get, because you don't want to be looking through a list of like a menu, like, what am I going to buy with my momentum? I don't want that.
Well, that kind of reminds me of Powered by the Apocalypse style games, where like the first time you give like a play sheet or like a character playbook to a player, they kind of go, "Whoa, it's a menu!" Right. And the first couple times people play, they're like, "Hold on," but then like once you kind of internalize the moves, and you're just like, "I'm gonna," and you only kind of refer to the things during like edge cases or whatever, it becomes much more organic to the story, and hopefully that momentum and whatever resource they have for the GM ends up being the same way. Threat.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, it seemed to work okay. That one little session of Star Trek worked pretty well with the little shootout, and that worked pretty well, and didn't seem to get in the way. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Is that the most recent 2D20 game?
Dune is the most recent, but Dune is really abstract.
Right.
And it's got like the 2 levels, kind of with the overhead and the, boots on the ground version of role play. And also the, creating assets in either combat or social interaction. So it's a bit more abstracted. This is, kind of pushing all the pulp. There's no counting bullets. You always have your sword, kind of style. And Dune is, trying to it's trying to be able to do a lot of different things with the same
Dune's,
mechanics.
well, I mean, those might as well be two different extremes, like Dune and John Carter of Mars, right? Like John Carter of Mars is very, balls to the wall, which actually doesn't talk about genitalia, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I found that out recently. And where Dune is a lot more like subtle, and it's like, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, and I like the more that I'm reading the history, because the first time that I ran it, I didn't get a chance. Like I read the books, but didn't get into like how they did the history in the game itself. And you can play this like real Dark Sun, or especially that first era, where John Carter first comes from. It's just savage war between tribes. So it can really be ugly and have a lot of real gritty aspects, and it gets more refined, as there's peace and more investigation into technologies and things. It gets more refined, but you can start it out really, really, sword and sandals, blood and guts kind of.
Sorry, I was laughing because after what last year, 2 years ago, when I did that read through again, I'm like, where did I stop? And so like every new book is like, oh, this undiscovered part of the planet with this undiscovered colored race that you didn't find out before. And it's like, buddy, how many times are we going to do this? How much more of Mars is there, right? And it's like, the yellow people, and then the red people, and then you're just like, oh, can you...
Right, and then the skeleton men of Jupiter get involved. It's like it goes all the way. It's like, you need more. But it should be fun. I'm hoping it really that it plays well, and this will be the most kind of pulpy action game that we've done.
Do you have any John Carter characters? Because man, that dude's an asshole.
No, actually, we're doing the latest era. So one of the characters is going to be from Earth, but like a World War II, like a Prussian World War II lieutenant, I think. And so that should be interesting. So we're playing so far as just a Green Martian and a Prussian lieutenant that was on an airship, and it's just like, what? Now I'm on Mars. What the hell happened? Yeah, so that'll be a fun way to kind of start the campaign too. Yeah, so we will see. All right. So are we good?
All set.
All right. Oof.
This week.
Yeah, so I put because we're doing this a little early. I put this together fast. There was it's all over the place. There's no theme
Unlike
this
usual.
week. Yeah, right. There's no theme this week. All right. Welcome to the Weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Chris.
And this week on the Weekly, here we go, pronunciation, Nibelungenlied film coming out. So Siegfried, the German epic poem.
Okay.
So one of the big influences of Lord of the Rings. Okay. So Nibelungenlied. That's not my German. A attempt to do a TTRPG Netflix is coming.
Okay.
5e Afterschool kit.
Okay.
And DesiQuest on Kickstarter.
Okay.
All right. So let's start with the so one of the biggest influences, or one of the major influences on Tolkien for Lord of the Rings was the epic German poem, the the Nibelungenlied, right? So that's the story of the hero Siegfried and traveling. I guess his marriage to the princess Kriemhild from King Gunther, and so previously he like slayed a dragon and very very so kind of seen as the German Iliad, I guess, in the way that it and so to win or to have the princess as his bride, he needs to secure for the king the warrior queen Brunhild, and so there's a lot of murder and revenge and intrigue, and it's kind of a epic poem in two parts.
So is it kind of like Beowulf?
Yeah, something similar. Yeah. And but I think like already Siegfried is the hero. Like at the beginning, already he has some mighty
was
deeds.
Kind of a hero, right? Like he kind of came in and like he was pretty well known.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah, no, so similar.
I think I have an illustrated version of that at home. But anyway.
So there's been several movie versions of this, and actually a TV version that I think was done in England was actually the first appearance. Sorry, it just makes me laugh. The first appearance of Twilight's protagonist, the vampire. I'm totally blanking on his name. Robert Pattinson.
Oh, you mean Batman?
Yeah, Batman.
You mean Batman? Batman.
Yes,
come on.
Batman's first appearance was in the 2004 TV adaptation. But prior to this, Fritz Lang did a film version in the 20s, and so unfortunately that was the timing was used to kind of rally German pride and kind of anti-democracy. And so there's a lot of baggage and things that are kind of built into this story because it served various political purposes.
Right. Okay.
So kind of an odd time to be bringing this up. And it sounds like it's I'm not sure if it's international or German. I guess a German production because a lot of the actors that are cast all sound very German. So but they are pushing this really hard as a big budget production that they hope to spin into a franchise. So I think watching what's going on in Hollywood with Game of Thrones and now Amazon's Rings of Power, Europe's going to get on it and they say, hey, we got lots of stuff. We got lots of stuff we can rip off. So.
Europe's going to get on it. Like they don't already have Tolkien, right? Right. Sorry. No, before you brought that up, sorry, what I was thinking of is, I don't have numbers, but The Green Knight.
Oh, right.
Right, the movie release of The Green Knight and how someone probably said, we've got stuff like that too. Right. Why not? Mm-hmm. Let's now is kind of the and then looking at the, I guess what's the word I'm looking for, the not market, but looking at my brain is off this week. Looking at what other studios are doing or looking at other kind of IPs or stories that have been like adapted. Why would you not go, hey, like our culture's kind of got one of those, and
that was an A24 film, right? Was that
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, because it was more of an art film. Yeah, definitely. But I think taking advantage of the popularity because they even did that D&D, that limited D&D set for it and everything. Yeah, so A24 is got a lot of merchandising going on. You get some like script books and T-shirts of everything that they produce.
You got green dice with that game.
Yeah, I'm sure. Sure you did. But that's a good point. And we'll probably see more of this, so hopefully we're just going to be crushed by fantasy productions from now on. But this was mentioned in the Hollywood Reporter. And so it must be a major production if they're gonna bother talking about this like on the same scale as the Hollywood stuff that they're reporting on. So I'm really curious to see if this gains any steam, and then how they're going to, if it's going to be in German and then subtitled, or they're going to dub it in English for English markets, or what they're trying to do. Because if they're going to put a lot of money in it, they got to get it internationally distributed.
My wish. Okay, I know very little about that story. I'm going to have to go look it up. My wish would be German with subtitles, right? Mm-hmm. Let's just, this is the culture it's from. Let's not accurate, but let's present it in that culture because you just kind of lose.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely nothing against dubbing, but you just kind of lose something when you translate it. So just read it in subtitles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it'll be. I'm curious how this is going to hit the market, and if Europe is capable of like creating kind of like pop culture trends and stuff, because they do have great sources of fantasy and mythology. So but we'll see if this can compete with like what Hollywood has already ordained as this these major works of fantasy, and there's still so much of that too. All the books to be licensed.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But that is going to be happening. And another thing that we're going to have to see, all of this, like, so a lot of my in writing the description for this is like, this could be a thing, and another thing that could be a thing is a new online video network that plans to be a kind of a one-stop shop for tabletop RPG shows. So it's unfortunately not well branded. It's called Dragon.
Okay.
So that's stepping on a lot of people's trademarks.
Perhaps intentionally?
Maybe. And so what they're going to try to have is a library of actual play series, podcasts, and other role-playing content kind of all under one network banner. So I'm not sure if they're going to do production funds or they're just going to say, give us your show and we'll split the ad revenue with you or whatever.
So, I wonder what they would do. Do you think they'd be, obviously the answer is we don't know, but I'm wondering if they would be kind of like producers?
Some of them sounds like it, yeah.
If they would be just kind of more like an early day Netflix where we'll just help get your stuff out there.
It sounds like they want to do a little bit of both, because they do say they're producing original content only for this platform, but that they're also trying to find other interesting series. So it was created earlier this year by the team behind The Fourth Culture, which I've not don't know about, an interview show, How Not to DM, and a game show, a D&D game show called Dragon's Duel. And I don't know any of these, so that says a little bit about their discoverability.
We're really plugged into the D&D culture.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's right. We are rabid critters. But yeah, so a quote from the from Hamilton Ross-Bottomley is our goal with, I guess, Dragon TV is what they're calling it. Yeah, Dragon TV is to offer an experience to users that is similar enough to Netflix but does not require a learning curve. Our short-term goals are around having a streamlined hub for content and a single reference point for our audience, which allows our audience to be exposed to more of our creators' great shows. One of the long-term goals of the Dragon T4C as a platform, and I think they're having trouble with branding because they call it different things throughout this interview, is to provide a convenient one-stop audience for audiences to jump off into the TTRPG and adjacent content. So right now, there is a channel up there. There's shows, similar to like an interface of just a YouTube interface. They're hoping to improve the discoverability and also start to include a live on Dragon channel kind of streaming network. And so yeah, they're going to hopefully have live content as well. The idea is to cut actual plays into more digestible 30, 45, or even 60-minute segments. And so our goal is... Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No.
Our goal is to present content that's edited for near TV or radio production quality, and to do so via this service that works in familiar manner to our audiences. Our learning from the Heritage series is that few people have the time or inclination to catch up on 54 episodes of 3-hour actual plays, which is true. I mean, you really have to enjoy what people are doing. So some examples of the actual play series that will be available, or that are available currently: Theater Macabre, a gothic playthrough of Morkbjörg, a Vampire the Masquerade show called Singapore by Night, and future series start to get a little weirder.
Okay.
Bowie's in Spelljammer is a playthrough of the Spelljammer D&D setting inspired by David Bowie. Right. So it will feature characters named after his alter egos, including Jareth, Major Tom, Hunky Dory, and Ashes. I don't know how that works, but if you're really high, I'm sure it's awesome. Anyhow, so so traditional actual play series, kind of based on the template that Critical Role has established, but they say they want to go very far beyond that and create interesting new styles of actual play. A couple more shows are Just a Minotaur, which is a parody of the long-running BBC 4 Just a Minute series, where a single subject has 60 minutes to talk about a single subject without hesitation. Just a Minotaur. And, of course, the Real Housemates of Faerun, which is a reality show set in the Forgotten Realms. So none of this is making me, start clicking on any... It's a bit odd, and I mean, but you're kind of expecting this. There's people that are like, wow, 5e is so popular, and there's actual plays and shows that are making money, that are establishing brands. So let's do a network and all the little things that people are doing to support this and enjoying D&D and enjoying their settings. Let's try to put this all under one banner. But you often run into management problems and people not doing good things with the split on the ad revenue and stuff. So networks are always a little tricky.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, okay, it sounds great and maybe not completely altruistic. You're like, yeah, okay, there's all this great stuff happening, but it's all scattered. Let's help people be able to find it by kind of bringing it all under one umbrella. And that's great. And what I hope doesn't happen is then, management starts screwing people. Right? I'm thinking about like, okay, if you kind of want to be like Netflix, I'm thinking like Netflix now, like, oh, no, that's canceled after a season, right? Oh, no, that's dead. Or, oh, we're not going to do this, right? And you're just like, right? Like, there's a lot of control. Okay, understandably so. There's a lot of control that goes into this. And actually, why do I say hopefully? Because, okay, while none of these sound bad, I don't think I'm the target audience for them, right? Because, okay, you want to do stuff with actual plays. I tend to think actual plays have become radio shows.
Yeah.
Right? Which is fine. Obviously, they're very successful, but that's not why I watch actual plays, right? Like, I watch actual plays to watch people playing the game so I can figure out better ways to run that same game or get ideas for running other games, right? So while I wouldn't really jump into like, oh, episode 55, yeah, let's start here. Like, I don't necessarily need all the stuff that happened before, because I'm not really super interested in the story that came before, but how the mechanics get used to enhance and support that story. So I could kind of start anywhere. Doesn't sound like that what Dragon TV is kind of doing. They're probably going on, it sounds like they're going on the Critical Role thing about, okay, this is like scripted,
right, possibly
or not, entertainment, and we'll break it up so it's easier to jump in or get to the beginning, right? So, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult because I think there are a huge range of kind of tolerances that people have for, how goofy people act in actual plays and what kind of information they want to get out of shows, or if they just want some mindless entertainment, and if they want that mindless entertainment themed around their geeky hobby. Right. So, yeah, I don't know. One more quote is, our goal at Dragon is to ensure creators can focus on creating great content with the security of knowing that they're not going to get screwed over or on the other side of the coin. He said, and the quote, we're bringing people under contract to make a show for us. We pay them directly and promptly or share revenue under a clear and transparent contractual agreement. So let's hope so. I mean, that's going to be the hardest part, I think.
It sounds great, and it sounds like great. Okay, you're not... If it works, I like what that does, right? You make a show, we like your show, here's money to keep making your show, and we're going to promote it, right?
Right.
I hope that's what it ends up being.
Yeah, and they said it's going to start off, everything's going to be free to watch, and eventually they want to launch a kind of Patreon style, probably, but their own, their own service, supporter tiers for, the network or various shows or whatever, so they can get more direct connection with the fans or memberships that pay the creators. So we'll see. Yeah, it's already launched. Like the website already exists.
I'll have to go look.
And some more of the actual play series that exists on there are Roll of Cool, Roll of Cool, the DM's Travel Book. We talked about Theory Macabre and just a Minotaur, and they're also going to focus on podcasts as well. So so various.
I don't know. I kind of look at this like, wow. Almost said old school. I did say old school TV channel, right? Because I can't remember the last time I watched real TV, right? But it kind of sounds like going to be like a TV channel where, okay, TV channels kind of had a theme, but you didn't necessarily like everything that was on the channel. Like, this shit again, right? Yeah. Or it's like, I got to watch this. So I don't have a problem with them. And why would I? Because who am I in the big scheme of things, right? Like, sure, like any and all kind of actual plays, like if you want to put out there, all the way from like slickly edited things that are basically radio shows with visuals, all the way down to like three friends sitting around a table, actually just kind of like, maybe not counting out squares and rolling dice because it gets a little boring, but like, I think they have space to run the entire gamut. However, certain types of shows may be more or less popular than others, and over time, I wonder if they would it makes sense that they would gravitate towards the more popular ones, but I mean, hopefully this is a case where, great, okay, once you get funding set up, the money you're bringing in on the popular ones allows you to fund more experimental or different kinds of stuff rather than doing the capitalist bullshit of going, you're not making money, gone, right?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, so it's tricky. I mean, I hope they are paying attention and have looked at the history of networks, podcasting networks, content networks, and everything, and know that there's going to be, just like Geek and Sundry spawned Critical Role, there's going to be a superstar. And that superstar, unless you're going to well compensate them, is going to leave, is going to want to leave. So you're going to have a legal battle right away as soon as you make your first hit series, unless you've got a really good relationship and you are real transparent about what kind of money's coming in and how much you can, how much you can pay them and like how much you can keep them happy. So, I mean, because we've already had an example, and this is not tabletop related, but did you see the story about OnlyFans putting their creators on terrorist watch lists?
I did not.
So that they can't make funds outside of OnlyFans?
Wow.
Yeah, so networks do shitty things. Wow. And I mean, and nobody is surprised that OnlyFans is a terrible network, but networks do want to sabotage. They want you to be popular, but only so popular that you don't get a big head and think you can do your own thing.
Or try and renegotiate your contract or stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a tricky thing. If they can pull it off, I mean, it'll be great. I mean, that'll be great to actually have brands that you can go to. Oh, yeah, Dragon TV. That's where everything is that isn't Critical Role.
Well,
we're not Critical Role. That's gonna be their motto.
Hey, in how many years when we end up being on Dragon TV?
Yeah, right. That's right. Welcome to Dragon TV Presents.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah. Actually, we've talked before about how I would sell out in a minute. Right?
Chris is in talks actually right now. I'm not even...
You weren't supposed to bring that up, right?
Right. So, and speaking of actual plays, the first episode, because I'm kind of cutting it into manageable bite-sized pieces. The first hour, I want to cut it on real kind of dramatic parts. Okay. The first hour of the Blade Runner actual play is up on Patreon, and so early access on Patreon, and yes, sometime and within like the weekend or so, it'll be on the main channel.
Cool.
But I had all of those graphic assets from Astral, and I'm just like, okay, we did it over Discord. So what can I do? Oh, I'll just, I've got all of these assets. Yeah, I'll just use everything, all the music and everything that I had for Astral, I could actually make a video out of. So yeah, so I put it together, and I'm just going to try to cut it on the real good cliffhangers that we had, and also help you kind of understand the system, because it's like shifts, like there's 4 shifts in a day. And so you're on a kind of a schedule, this investigation has a time limit and everything.
And what Jeremy didn't say is he's shopping that to Dragon TV as well.
Dragon TV, if you're watching. Right. So this next piece of news. So obviously there was a WotC employee that was maybe going to a parent-teacher conference or something at a junior high school, and they saw the drug dealer kind of hanging outside the school, and they're like, "Oh, that's right. Yeah, the first hit is free for the kids, and then you got them hooked." So Wizards of the Coast announces D&D after-school kits. So themed teaching materials.
Delivered by a guy in a trench coat.
Yeah, right. Your first hit's free, kids. So they're gonna provide these after-school kits for schools, libraries, community centers, after-school programs, all free, and they contain the newest D&D starter set with the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, and as well as written lesson plans. So the focus is grades 4 to 6 and 6 to 8. So kind of late elementary, early, or like middle school and kind of junior high school range. But they're also going to include written lesson plans for language arts, mathematics, kind of reading, writing, and arithmetic are going to be built into it, because those are the things you do in D&D. So trying to put those things together, and the promotional page shows the cutest little artwork. Like they did these little like weird chibi drawing versions of a little party, and a little displacer beast like scampering along in the woods.
I have tangent, but I have feelings about that stuff, right? Like, like it also, like this morning I saw like one of the Space Marine Primarchs done chibi style, and I'm just like, okay, I got feelings. Like those games are rooted in violence, right? Like you can do lots of other things with them now. They are rooted in violence. Like the basic is you go to someone else's house, kick in the door, and take the fucking stuff, right? So I kind of have issues with presenting everything as cute and little and chibi and anyway. But I have no problem, apart from being D&D, of doing this, right? And I'm sure if other companies were in the financial place that WotC was, I would be congratulating them on doing something like this. So I kind of got to give it to WotC. Be like, yep, okay, nice job. These kind of games do help and are useful, and making lesson plans to show people who might not be familiar with the game why and how they're useful is a great idea. And yeah, definitely give kids something social to do after school. So
yeah,
much as I don't like D&D, I gotta like this idea.
Yeah, no, and I think giving kids something to do after school that's not, if they're not into sports, they're not into ping pong, they're not into chess, there's something to do.
What school has a paintball club?
That my high school did.
Oh my god! All right, I take it back.
So I think it is good, kind of socially for kids. And there's a huge on one of the pages that talks about this, a huge bunch of testimonials from different like university professors and things that said basically, D&D saved my life. It's like I had nothing, I had no friends, I had no social group, and discovering this game and then discovering the people that played it, and then finding a public library, a room in a public library, or some place after school, the AV club or whatever to play it, really was important to my development as a person. And I think overcoming social anxiety, public speaking, like there's all kinds of things that without even thinking about it, skills you're acquiring and like comfort levels that you're building. So yeah, it is good. So they talk about telling stories together, making friends, sharing jokes, solving puzzles, battling monsters, being heroes, and creating crazy characters. So yeah, that's kind of what they're endorsing. Yeah, back to the chibi thing. I think it's an interesting kind of lost in translation thing from Japanese culture, because always anime, like even like violent or sexual anime, will do in the like end credit scenes or whatever, chibi versions of the characters. So you've just
like
seen
I'm sure there's a term for it. What we would call like in Warner Brothers stuff, like a spit take or a sight gag. The chibi version of the character.
Yeah, right.
Where the guy,
yeah, right.
I fucking hate that. Like, I understand why they do it. Right. I can stand
it's a good way to say.
Turn this little expression. That's like, okay, what fucking tone are we going for here, right?
I guess it's a good way to say this is non-canon.
Or it's like, look at how funny this is, right?
Yeah. Extra funny. Isn't it adorable?
Yeah. I got real issues when you're like, oh, this game we're playing that's rooted in colonial violence, isn't it adorable? It's like, this
adorable.
Is right. It's kind of why I honestly balk a little bit at the testimonials of people saying, oh yeah, I played D&D with my kid, or we played this dungeon delving adventure, and I'm like, sounds great. How are you dealing with the violence, right? Because that is, and some people do it great, right? Where it's like, oh, the kid wanted to talk to this person, and now they're friends, and I'm like, that's fantastic, right? It's also kind of why I balk at people playing like, especially World War I or World War II miniatures games with their kids, and I'm like, this is great hobby, great that the kid's learning all this stuff. The theme fucking sucks for kids, in my opinion, right? Do something else. And it might be because there isn't something else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, so, that's true. And that could definitely be a thing that comes up in these after-school games as well, is, different. I think younger people are more sensitive to things, more aware of things, so it could come up.
They're also way more violent.
Yeah.
Right? Like okay, like I brought this up on Twitter. I don't know where this came from. My kid, who's 5.5, with her box of Lego Friends stuff, her current play is to pop the heads off a subset of the dolls and turn them into zombies, which is a portmanteau of death and zombie. And then it's my job to make all the other Lego Friends run away so they don't get bitten and turn into zombies. And I'm like,
wow,
great imagination. Great, we're building stuff and playing together. Where the f*** did this come from? Because I sure as shit don't let you watch zombie media. Right. But I'm just like,
wow. Yeah, that's interesting cultural. Yeah, that's very funny. Well, a future George Romero in the making.
Maybe. I don't know, right? So I think like kids themselves are, because they don't. Okay, parenting stuff here. Unless and until they get to that certain age or have the experience where they like figure out the repercussions of violence, it's kind of meaningless, right? Like, ha ha ha, oh, now they're dead, right? And they got bitten. I'm like, it's kind of funny, but you're playing this because you don't really understand what death means and the results of all this stuff. So, 4th to 6th grade and 6th to 8th grade, they probably do.
Yes.
Right? So, there would probably be good discussions to have about like violence, and I wonder if WotC's doing anything with like toning down or including questions to ask or things to do, or really hammering that they're, well, again, here's where we kind of get into D&D, right? Yes, you can do anything in D&D, and yes, you could talk to the people and stuff. How much of the game is a combat simulator, right?
Yeah.
So it's one thing to say it, another thing to do it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the rules in the new starter set too, because they're specifically aiming this new set as, not this is your taste before 5e comes out. This is like, if you don't know anything about the system, this game, anything, it's a very, very, very introductory set for people that are just like, what the hell is D&D? So I'm curious, what kind of advice and guidelines they give in there. But the thing I'm also thinking about too is just the social aspect of it, and just kind of being together and friends. Okay, we're just doing this, and theme whatever, elf, dwarf, whatever. Just I just want to do stuff together and enjoy this social interaction. So it may actually the setting and kind of content and violence may kind of be backgrounded by just like, we win. We got the last 3 points we needed to defeat them. I'm not talking about stabbing them, we just win. So you don't really know, and it's going to vary, like table to table, group to group, how they treat that. But I could also see that the setting and kind of content being really backgrounded for people just wanting to enjoy. Let's just roll some dice and do something, and let's just
Which kind of like okay. Yeah, I'm a bit cynical because it absolutely behooves WotC to, as you kind of said at the beginning, get people hooked on the official D&D, right? But at the same time, or rather on the other hand, if they were just kind of promoting all these other things, you could even present like a stripped down version of D&D, right? Where instead of being background, that kind of stuff is like largely gone, and make it like a completely different rule set. But I don't think that's what they would, right? Because they're a company. If they go, great, I want to play this game again. Oh, it's something completely different. No, they kind of want to go, that was an awesome game. I remember it. Now I'm going to buy all this stuff along with it, right? So it's great what they're doing. I'm still a little bit cynical.
Yeah. I think so. This is just like when Apple, in the 90s, gave computer labs to so many schools, and so like everybody learned Macs,
typing on those Apple IIe things and playing Oregon Trail,
right. And art schools had Mac labs until they realized that if you're not in Hollywood and you get out there, everybody's on PC, so you're screwed. You're screwed if you learn to all of your Photoshop and everything on a Mac. It's going to be a lot harder. But this is them just kind of putting some investment. This is probably good marketing for them, and it also like it does have some it's benefit. It is good tools and things. So, and it would be fun to see like what some of these materials actually look like.
I would like to see it. Yeah,
got a high production value or just kind of half-assed, kind of thrown out there, because Games Workshop does that with Warhammer. They have like a after programs kids thing, and it's okay. It's really kind of half-assed, and it's getting we'll see if anybody ever talks about this again. But I just thought it was funny. The first hit is free. And so the last story really connects to things we've talked about previously on the cast about looking for non-Eurocentric settings for fantasy. So DesiQuest is a Kickstarter. And so what is DesiQuest? DesiQuest is an all South Asian D&D stream. So actual play stream that's kickstarting now. So they're already doing pretty well. They got 1,400 backers and 75,000 for their goal. So they smashed their
nice.
Original goal. And so what they're doing is a homebrew D&D setting with an entire cast of Indian, like South Asian actors, some voice actors, people that have already have a presence in D&D and actual play, but bringing together a homogenous group of everyone from the same culture. And the homebrew is written by them and inspired by the mythology, history, and everything of India. So this is how to do, non-European D&D with, the mythology, gods, settings, and historical base, and weapons, martial arts, and things of this setting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So an epic, culturally authentic Dungeons and Dragons actual play with an all Daisy cast. So it'll be game mastered by Jasmine Bueller, and I think she's been Bular. I think she's been on she's run a few different games before, and it's a big actor. Like she her performance as DM is pretty big, and there's going to be voice actors. I think people that have worked on like Overwatch and stuff that are going to be part of the cast. So it may be one of those very bombastic, very heavily voice acted. But everyone from everyone that they interviewed for the Kickstarter video, everyone's English is very clear. So I think it'll work well as an English language cast. It's not there won't be any language difficulties or anything. So an Indian South Asian setting, but for an English-speaking audience, which I think is good. And even one of the actors said, this is a way to get into maybe you wouldn't try this on your own. Right. Maybe like coming from outside of the culture, you wouldn't want to kind of stumble through this and try to create this setting on your own. So we're going to show you how, within our culture and what we understand, how to do this.
Oh, nice. I was thinking this might be a good example of, how to do a TTRPG product, service, something that's outside of your culture, where if you're not in that culture, what you do is pony up money and enjoy it,
right?
Like, I think that might be my takeaway here, right? Because, sounds amazing. Sounds like, here's, if you want to play in kind of a setting inspired by this culture, but you're not from the culture, watch us to get some ideas, but you're still going to be a step or two removed, right?
Right. Yeah, and so a quote from the Kickstarter page. So it's incredibly rare out here in the U.S. to create a production that has an all-Daisy cast. We're usually competing with each other for the one guest spot on shows, with a similar format. So when you are an all-Daisy cast yourself and not, whether you're an experienced player or new to D&D, if you want to see more highly skilled and highly engaged brown faces on your screen, weaving epic tales inspired by mythology and lore of the Indian subcontinent, then we need your support to make it happen. So yeah, and a lot of good creators with a lot of previous experience in role play are actually working on it. Let me get a list of some of those names. So the Kickstarter is to support no less than 5 and up to 10 full-length, approximately 3-hour episodes of the DesiQuest premium high production value digital series of their actual play. Cool. And they don't say. I didn't check the further down on the Kickstarter page, but I wonder if they're going to make the setting available as well, like what their play if they're going to produce books, because that would be interesting as well. So the setting is. Vihar, a homebrewed world of Daisy culture infused with the DNA and influences drawn from the subcontinent. So you go from Bronze Age, Indus Valley civilizations to ancient epics of the Mahabharata. And so different myths and things are inspiring this universe. So I thought that, very interesting. And things like Daisy-style armor, medieval combat, and martial customs, as well as myths and history of the Delhi Sultanate, King Asoka, and Alexander the Great's defeat in India. So
watch out for those elephants.
Yeah, right. So but so interesting. I thought that was a good thing to see, an interesting take, and everybody that they that's involved that they talked to for the video had love and enthusiasm. There wasn't like arrogance or like watch how we do this or whatever. They're like, finally we can show you what else there is out there, and finally we won't be the token member of an actual play group. It's going to be a homogenous setting and homogenous feel.
Yeah, like we've talked before about how when everybody at the table is like you, it is incredibly different from when you are that token person. Because even if it's one thing to say, everyone's welcome,
but button your lip.
Swallow
or
it's not opinion. It's not, and people can be incredibly welcoming and but you're still very much aware that there's no one else at the table like me, right? There's no one else who has these shared experiences or the shared culture. So you all can be as welcoming as possible. No one else is really going to get this, so I'm just not going to bring it up.
Right.
So, and that's just one way that's vastly different from everyone at the table having these shared experiences. And it's not that we don't want to share. It's just that maybe we don't feel comfortable.
And it's difficult, I think, in a lot of... So that's the funny thing about the U.S. is it's diverse, but it's very selectively diverse. There's more... of course, the West Coast is more Asian and more direct, immigrants of Asia, I guess, with exceptions. But so there's much more influence and much more availability to... access to Korean culture or direct Chinese people that have direct Chinese culture experiences or Indian, South Asian experiences in different locations. So to find those groups or find that mix, the mix is always going to be unpredictable and strange. So I think, specifically the U.S. has that interesting, the interesting way that the kind of cultures connect, and especially like American universities and things. You never know what kind of balance of people you would run into that maybe they all have the same hobby interest, but it could be a very very interesting combination of things that might be good or might be unpredictably a little clashy. So who knows? All right, so I'll put a link to that Kickstarter, and we've still got about 20 days on
nice.
that. Yeah, so it's that was just their first week though. They had some pretty good success in their first week. So there's definitely a market for it, and I think the South Asian, I don't think gets... I mean, Asian people think, Chinese, Korean, Japanese, or Southeast Asian. They don't really see Indian subcontinent as Asian as much, but that is a real dominant cultural force more and more in America. So I think this is good to kind of recognize this now. And now we're actually seeing there is, popularity and money behind, that they can have money behind that. So good to see what's coming next. So that's it for this week. That's all I wrangled up.
Yeah, nice.
So where can people find you?
On Twitter, as always, where I don't know what I'm doing. Parenting has drained me of any kind of creative motivation. The weather's finally cooling down.
Yes.
So I think after this long weekend, I'm going to try and start painting miniatures again.
Nice.
Only because it's not fun to sweat in a tiny little room that you then have to clean everything up. So, yeah.
Nice.
So how about you?
Yeah, so I'm still doing my single panel gag cartoon, and actually I'm going to be streaming that because I wasn't able because of the typhoon. Yeah, my schedule got all shifted. So I'm going to be streaming that about an hour after this ends.
Nice. Well, I got nothing to do at work, so I'll be watching that too.
Right. So come and watch me draw Domestic Abuse, a single panel gag cartoon about foodstuffs and inanimate objects and their mental punishment with each other. And so Abuse Cartoons on Twitch and YouTube, and gocomics.com/domestic abuse if you want to kind of get the tone of the cartoons and see if it's something you want to watch. And also I eat things from the Japanese convenience stores to keep my energy and blood sugar up during the stream. And if you'd like to support what we're doing here with the weekly, please visit upturntable.com. And if you want to directly support us, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/upturntable. And the weekling being the strongest
of all supporters.
Yes. And let us know what you want to see more of on the weekly and what you enjoy us doing. And Upturn Table on all social media. And keep an eye out for the first episode of the Blade Runner actual play. Yes. So it's the Case File 1, the Electric Dreams.
Ooh. Are there sheep?
No, we didn't run into any sheep. There could have been. I mean, maybe I missed it. But that's available on Patreon now, and it'll be available to YouTube members and then available widely soon on the channel. Nice. And I'm still, I guess because it is audio, I should also put it out on the RSS feed.
Oh, cool.
So that's probably a good thing to do. So you can, either way. Just throw away all that hard work I did on the graphics and just listen to it. That's fine. It would have saved me a lot of time. All right, so we'll do this again next week. So thanks for joining us, and see you then.
Later, mortals.
Goodbye. All right. So we'll be right back. All right, little 30 seconds of room tone there. So I come back, but I don't come back. All right, so let's take a look at the chat. So, hey, Matt, thanks so much for being in the chat. Oh, yeah, Dragonbane is doing well. Yeah, so 10,900 backers and 673,000. That's great. Yeah, I hope it is very successful. The little quick start we played was incredibly fun. I like that system, and I just want to see more and more of that. That's really cool. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we were talking about John Carter. Yeah, we're gonna. It'll take probably this first session, like getting used to like what those two stats mean and kind of like how you can negotiate. No, I'm going to use reason. No, I'm going to use empathy, to make things happen in your little combining those stats. But I remember just from that quick start that we did, it got intuitive. Like probably halfway through the session, it became pretty intuitive, and people had a good sense of logically like what would work. It just takes, because you're kind of translating some things, it takes a little while for it to become kind of second nature. Nice. All right. So Matt said, kind of funny to think of Europeans trying to sell their stories to Hollywood. Yeah, since most Hollywood fantasies are derived from European. Yeah, it is like we'll sell you the source. We got the source here. You ever heard of this Beowulf? Yeah, I guess they've already done that. One of those horrible CG features of Beowulf. Wow. Yeah. So Matt predicts that Dragon TV folds before WotC lawyers right finish drafting the cease and desist. Yeah, I wonder. Networks are always tricky. I mean, it does make sense to try to gather things under a single brand for identity, and to kind of pool your resources and things so you can have higher production values, share studio or, different resources. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Oh, great. Yeah. And Matt said, liked how the actual play. Yeah, it was a real nice thing to have, to just edit the audio of the actual play and then have all of those assets, have all of because especially the Blade Runner RPG is very heavy in photos and clues. Like all of these things are handouts. So it's got a lot of handouts like Call of Cthulhu. So you're kind of constantly throwing stuff on the table, and you're supposed to, kind of leave it there. So that works really well with making visual content for an actual play video. So I was worried about, just the audio, having a still picture for an hour of audio. There's nothing to look at. But this was fun because I could show the character portraits, and as the, NPCs changed and the locations changed, give you a little bit more sense of things and do a little bit more, background music and atmosphere. Get that rain going all the time. So so I look forward to. Since I've got that template kind of put together, I just have to keep cranking them out. So so look for that coming to the channel eventually, and for members and patrons now, and I'll probably be producing that weekly. And we've got a lot. It was the whole. It was three sessions of pretty between 3 and 4 hours of play. So there'll be a lot to come out of that. So as far as I'm not sure how many hourly episodes that's going to be once I cut them down, but it'll be at least half a dozen, I'm imagining. I can imagine it being at least 6 hours, because I'm editing out a lot of rules discussions and stuff, just so you get to our success or failure with the dice rolls, and then the role play, the story. So we'll see. So Matt said, WotC thinks they're growing the next generation of D&D players, but watch him trigger the next satanic panic. Yeah, right. I mean, with all the upset parents at schools and things, I could see someone coming home with, oh, look at this math worksheet I did, and why is there a pentagram on your homework? Yeah, so who knows? That would be really funny. And that was funny reading the Slaying the Dragon when they're talking about second edition and how they removed all the demonic and satanic things out of second edition just to kind of try to calm things down. I thought that was a very funny, kind of deliberate move. Of course, you can, it's easy to add back in, but to have it have it come out of the core books was very funny. But that would be really, really funny if WotC steps in it and they just send those play kits to the after school kits to the wrong school. Yeah, and Matt also said, rules like games might be better for kids, especially if you want them to make adventures that don't emphasize, the murder hobo side of RPGs. Yeah, and I think it really depends on like the teacher that's running it and kind of supervising it. If they're going to say, no, this is how you play, or this is back in my day, this is how we played. I think that's going to be a lot of the same thing. So Alvaro said, funny. I play Pathfinder 2nd Edition. with an Indian GM. And the setting is basically a fantasy version of India. It's super fun, and I love the change. Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, I mean, and that's something that a GM from a different culture can bring. And I think, that's probably the best way. I guess that does make the most sense, is people from outside of a culture, because a lot of the times in fantasy roleplay, you are outsiders. You're adventurers. You're kind of it's an incursion into another culture. For the most part, so to have someone of a culture kind of guide you into it, I think that could be very interesting. Yeah, thanks, Alvaro. That's a very cool thing. Yeah, how are you liking Pathfinder 2E? That's something that there's a few people that I know want to start a campaign with that, and actually, some pretty people that are deep into the Pathfinder lore that would help make that easy. So I'm not sure what, but that would be fun to either Starfinder or Pathfinder get back into doing a bit of that. Nice. Yeah. So that's cool. Yeah, and I think I'm really curious about the DesiQuest to see, because already they showed off some of the art assets and stuff on the Kickstarter. So if they're going to have those, they're doing high level productions, so they're going to have character art and NPC art and things. For the actual play, there could be some really cool stuff there, and I hope they're going to do at least a PDF of the setting, because that would be fun to read through. Nice. So Alvaro said, I don't want any new gear. And he's built the stats for a couple of weapons other players in the party. Oh, that's cool. But statting out, different cultures' weapons would be fun. This should all go the way and teach Call of Yes, that's true. Chaosium, you're dropping the ball here. All kids need to learn Call of Cthulhu. That's true. Then you can be extra suspicious of your teachers and school faculty about what kind of cults are developing behind the scenes. Yeah. So. So as I said, I've got about an hour back on the train, and then I'm going to be streaming again. So if you're around, it's going to get pretty late in North American time. But if you're around, I'll be back on the stream for Abuse Cartoons. And so back-to-back streaming today. Just the schedule, kind of forced this to happen, because we had things kind of shut down Sunday night and then Monday. But the typhoon, one of the bigger, stronger typhoons to hit, just kind of skirted along the north of the country and the island, and basically through just the Sea of Japan. So that worked out okay. And it's always like that, because small deviations in these storms either mean it's going to hit full force, or we're just going to get the edges of it and some rain and wind, lighter rain and wind. But yeah, right, Matt. So today is a double feature. The weekly paired with Abuse Cartoons live stream. Yeah, so there'll be a lot of talking. I'm gonna have to get some more caffeine going to stay. I'll get extra snacks, so I'll be pausing to eat things a few times during the stream to keep going. Nice. So if you don't mind the crunchiness and enjoy having 5,000 character options and subsystems, Pathfinder 2 is one of the best D20 variants out there. Oh, that's a good recommendation, Alvaro. Yeah, I got the I have the PDF of 2E, and we did the playtest for 2E, so I have the original playtest rules, but then I bought the little pocket version of the rules and have been going through that. And I like, conditions, like how they've kind of streamlined the conditions, like flat-footed and things. I think there's some good things in 2E that I liked. But yeah. So I have to, and it's actually Jackson from Kokoro no Me that is the big Pathfinder fan. So Jackson might actually GM some Pathfinder or Starfinder. That would be a great thing. I think he's been doing that for friends back home for a while. But we shall see. Yeah, I know. I don't know when I sleep anymore. When I'm not driving to the train station, I'm streaming. Yeah, and I have to decide if I'm gonna do a painting stream after our John Carter session. I think I'm gonna be pretty fried trying to keep that all straight. So I don't know. We'll see if I can get some rest in between the game session and just hang out with Nick and do some more painting. Yeah, because I still have all that. Have the Clash of Kings to finish up. Yeah, I can't believe I almost got 2 armies painted during the lockdown, but I chickened out on some of the bigger pieces because the contrast paints don't work as well for large kind of smooth surfaces. It ends up looking very weird and water stained. So yeah, but I'll keep at it. So we'll see. And and I'm so full of John Carter like Barsoom information right now, and I'm trying to figure out like the best way. I don't want to do, because I did kind of an info dump, and that was mostly for the people listening that might not know like how they updated the setting or what they were doing with the setting for Blade Runner. So maybe I don't want to do that with John Carter. So maybe I'll kind of like let that information kind of come out through NPCs and stuff so that it's more discoverable. I think that might be fun instead of here's the setting and this and this and this and this and boom. So just a little couple of sentences to kind of set the tone, and then we'll head right into it. Yeah, and hopefully Owlbear Rodeo will serve us well once again. It worked okay for Dragonbane. I thought that was very easy to put together and worked well. So yeah, we'll try that again. And also John Carter, they abstract. We're not going to be counting squares on a grid because they abstract their ranges in John Carter as well. So it should just be easy to show where things happen, and also kind of use the tile sets for just inspiring location and kind of make it feel a little more immersive. Yeah, I like that. I think that would be really fun because also, so if both of your characters kind of don't spend a lot of, or have never been to Mars, and then but also don't spend time in like the red Martian cities and stuff, you'll both be kind of discovering things, how things work, and kind of be new to a lot of experiences, which I think will work really well. Yeah, there's one thing. Maybe at the beginning a little bit, we'll tweak some of the character creation a little bit, because one of the things that I was reading about is the spears don't work. Spears are basically like lances. The green Martian spears are basically like lances, so they're not going to be very capable in combat off of the thoat, like not riding, not mounted. They're basically like 40-foot lances that are going to be useless and a little bit cumbersome to carry. But the way that also that John Carter works is you have I'm forgetting the term, but you have your like key gear. You have your important gear that you pay for, you're assigned, or that you pay for with XP. But then you have everything else available. So on a green Martian's thoat, there will probably be a spear and a rifle that they have access to, because that's what they would customarily carry. So whatever fits with the character's role and what they would do, they would have access to. And what they do in the setting is anyone from Jasum, any Earth people that come there, they just, drop Terminator style naked onto the planet. And so they have to, start gathering things. And as they get experience and knowledge, then they start to build talents and have access to equipment that they can then make their key items. So we shall see. Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah, right. We'll just keep turning to Will and say, yeah, so what is the Green Martian opinion of this? So tell us about the history of the Green Martians. Yeah, I like in the lore, they do an interesting job. So in John Carter, in that setting, the Green Martians are basically like sophisticated orcs, like orcs with culture that aren't just like screaming wah, they aren't just like bloodthirsty plants. They're actually, a group of more primitive, like no written language, more primitive version of Martian that are very very efficient warriors, very deadly warriors, and basically just claim, they form these little war bands and basically just became this antagonist for everybody on Mars as this just horde of green Martians grew out of control, all of the different older types of Martians were, constantly under siege from them, and they see, the death in battle as honor, and then there's still also honorable combat and things. So it's interesting. I think it's a nice take on a kind of an orc clan culture that's more sophisticated and also more imposing. I guess orcs in Warhammer settings and stuff are that same way. They're physically larger and intimidating. But these green Martians aren't stupid. They're intelligent. They have battle strategies and things, but they are very aggressive. And certain clans, and I didn't know the names of the different clans are just based on the cities that they occupy. So they're nomadic. They're nomadic tribes, but they occupy when they take over an abandoned city from old Barsoom. That's a lot of the time where the clan name comes from. Just the city that they took over is the name of their clan. So Thark is actually a name of the clan, and that's the one that's the one that John Carter runs into. But I like that idea. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they did a really good job in the Disney movie. The script is such a mess and the casting is terrible. And I guess though, to update John Carter, you have to ruin it. Like especially Disney, to update a Disney version of John Carter. So I don't know what they were thinking. There's no way you can make a Star Wars out of John Carter. John Carter has to have a lot of those original elements that are going to be incredibly offensive to a lot of people now. So there's no way to do it. There's no way to really tell those stories. And so they create like a I don't know. Deja Thoris becomes like a STEM girl, and like science is huge with the Red Martians, but there aren't STEM girls. There aren't like I'm so special because I'm a girl scientist. That's just everyone studies technology, and everyone is like striving to innovate things and survive. I mean, because the planet is dying. So that movie is such a mess, and there's no way. But the best part of it is the CG of the Green Martians. The Red Martians are garbage as well, because it's just like spray tan and like almost just Pacific Islander, kind of like mocking Pacific Islander type tattoos. Like it's really terrible. They don't and really ill-fitting wigs and stuff. The Red Martians look like garbage. They just look like spray tan Californians, but they're all like British and Australian actors and whatever. It's terrible. It's really, really terrible. But some of the art direction and design, like the airships and stuff, they really did some good things with those. But yeah, you can't. That script, you just can't. The script is brutal. It's just like if you were going to adapt, John Carter's like a CW series, and you're going to like make everybody high school age or whatever. I mean, that's how everything felt. It was really weird. Yeah. That's interesting, Matt. Yeah. So Matt said, I think you could make a fun pulpy TV series with the material. Yeah, and because it's so endless too, because the John Carter adventures are so endless. Yeah, and the funny thing is there's a real, I think, cheap direct-to-video Princess of Mars. I forget. It's got like Antonio Sabato Jr. or something, like some funny straight-to-video kind of actor in it, and I think that feels more authentically John Carter of Mars than the Disney one does, because the Disney one just like waters everything down, and yeah, it's very strange. Oh, there you go. Yeah, for a moment you think, Jersey Shore on Mars. Yeah, that's that's pretty close to the. I could imagine. Yeah, that was the feel. Yeah, it just they didn't know who the audience was, and they wanted to have some action and adventure and good CG. Like they were trying to do a tentpole big summer blockbuster movie with John Carter, but they gutted the story, and I can. Like in the script, you can kind of see the logic of some of the decisions that they made. Well, he can't do this, and he shouldn't do this, and we can't have him do this. So, basically you're like working your way around narratively some stuff that just like, it just guts the whole setting. And yeah, it makes it very odd. And also, they didn't even bother. And I think maybe this is like a Disney thing or whatever. But because a lot of the Disney Plus TV series have this trouble, as streaming series have this as well. There's no good choreography for the combat, and like sword play is a huge part of John Carter. And they're just doing the rapid cutting, and just like the actors are very half-assing it. And no good. I mean, that's something you should do. Errol Flynn style, like really detailed sword play to get across that pulpy adventure of it. And it was just it was just not good. But yeah, the weapon design was cool. The Tharks were cool. The Green Martians. But yeah, I would avoid that. You can just watch it on mute and just watch the visuals. They do an okay job with the visuals. But God, that story, and the Red Martians are just garbage, just out of shape Brits with spray tans and harnesses. Yikes! All right. Well, thanks guys for showing up a day early. Yeah. So Chris will be on the Shinkansen, I think, visiting the in-laws. So yeah, this is in Japan. I guess I'll talk about this again on the Abuse Cartoon stream. In Japan right now, this is Silver Week. So Golden Week is the kind of the coincidence of like 4 national holidays. So you almost get a week off, and so you can almost have like 10 days. And so everyone is kind of forced to take some sort of time off from work during that time in May, I believe. And so in September, this is Silver Week. So there are only 2 national holidays, but they're a Monday and a Friday. So if you take those days off in the middle, you can get another kind of, extended holiday. So, and that just means everyone is, out and about and busy. So if you want to go anywhere nice, it's going to be crowded. But yeah, and they just have to you just got to force people to take time off around here. So we are in the midst of Silver Week. So that's why Chris is traveling. And so it was kind of a bummer to have a big typhoon at the beginning of Silver Week, because some people probably planned, to go to Okinawa or do something, and you just don't want to do that during typhoons. It's pretty brutal. All right. So I think we'll call it for this week. But thanks everyone for joining me, and yeah, I will see you soon. So jump on over to Abuse Cartoons on YouTube, and in about an hour you'll get a notification that I'm live again. Oof. All right. So I'll hit the convenience store and head home, and then I will see you guys then. So yeah, so Alvaro and Matt, thanks for hanging out, and we'll do this again next week, and hopefully with some more interesting topics. Yeah, there was I had to put together things fast, so there was a couple of things I just kind of like didn't bother talking about, things that we've touched on before. So hopefully next week there'll be some more outrageous, terrible things happening. Oh, cool. So I'll keep an eye out for you, Matt, on the other stream. But I understand it's going to be pretty late by that time. All right. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you again next time. Goodbye.